6. Read the first section, lines 1 to 21, and identify which 3 of the following statements can be deduced from the passage. Tick 3 boxes. A. Merle understands French. B. Grace learned French as a child. C. The girls have already seen the devastation of the French countryside. D. Captain George Taylor is on his first trip abroad to a war zone. E. Merle had seen the officer with the golden hair before this evening. F. The women expected to be served first at the bar. First of all, you can see that the first line here says it would be several days before the girls saw how devastated the French countryside had become. Therefore, option C cannot be correct, which says the girls had already seen the devastation. Then we're told that the girls were sent to welcome receptions and dinners, and on one of these occasions Merle met the officer with the golden hair. Later on in the text we're told that the girls are sent to welcome receptions and dinners, and that it was on one of these occasions that Merle met the officer with the golden hair. However, she recognises him, and later on we're told she recognised the young officer whose striking hair she'd admired as her ship was docking. So this is not the first time that Merle has seen the officer. Therefore, we can give option E as a correct answer. Merle had seen the officer with golden hair before. In this same part of the text, we're told that as the girls enter the hall thronging with people and approach the bar, the waiters ignore the crowds of men and hasten to serve them. There is nothing to imply that the women expected this to happen, so we cannot give option F as a correct answer. Women did not expect to be served before the men, it just happened without their expectation. In this piece of text we can also see that although a British voice was talking, they were talking in French, and that Merle had learned to speak French as a child. Here then we can say that option A must be correct, as this says that Merle understood French. Then if we move on, we can read the rest of the passage. The fact that the girls were not expecting to be served first is further confirmed here in line 13, where the officer's French companion says the young ladies did not ask for preferential treatment. So this confirms our answer that option F was incorrect. The women did not expect to be served before the men. We can also prove one of the other statements to be true here as well. The Frenchman indignantly corrects the captain, and then says, "I'll excuse you as it's your first tour of duty on active service." So this means it must be George's first trip to a war zone. We can now prove 3 of the statements are true, like this. Firstly, we know that Merle understands French, because although she hears a British accent, she hears that person speaking in French, which she learned as a child. There is no evidence that Grace learned any French as a child. Her knowledge of French is not mentioned, so we cannot give this as an answer. We also know that the girls have not already seen the devastation of the French countryside, as the beginning of the passage tells us that it would be a few days before this was the case. We can, however, say that this is Captain George Taylor's first trip to a war zone, based on him being indignantly informed by the Frenchman that he was wrong, but that he could be forgiven as this was his first trip to a war zone. Then option E is also true. We know that Merle has seen the officer with the golden hair before this evening. Finally, F is not true. The women did not expect to be served first at the bar. So the 3 answers you should tick here are option A, option D, and option E.